So this is, this is a consent. Here it says your name, and here it tells you what I'm researching.
Print or something?
Right there. Alright. This part will give me permission, if you want me to use the audio like in an educational setting or something like that. And then this is just here, your signature. The other part, don't worry about. That's if you couldn't read or write. Okay. And that's just a continuation of the same thing. If you couldn't read or write, or if you were a minor, or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So, how long have you been a tattoo artist?
I've been tattooing for about 7 years. Because I started when I got out of jail, but professionally only like 5 or 6 years.
How do you make the distinction between professional and...
When I started tattooing out of jail, I was tattooing from home. So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any training or nothing. And that went on for about 2-3 years. And then when I got into my own shop, I was still learning the ropes. So I didn't have a license until, I got into my own shop. So that would make it professional.
So you have to have a tattoo license, or what type of license?
Oh yeah, you have to have a tattoo and body piercing license, a bloodborne pathogen certificate, OSHA certificate. You got to have a lot of stuff. You just have to be familiar with bloodborne pathogens, bacteria, meningitis, stuff like that, staph infection. You have to show some awareness of knowing how to use this machine or penetrate people's body with needles and stuff like that. It's not a hard process. Anybody could get a license, but everybody can't really tattoo or pierce. Yeah.
Do you make a distinction between like more artistic tattoos and I guess what I've seen what people call scratching?
Yeah, see, scratching is beginners. Scratching used to be African American tattoo. Let me say this. I don't want to say used to be. Scratching still is African American tattoo artists in a negative connotation because the term scratcher is used for you don't know what you're doing. You're just scratching somebody's skin up. But after a while, so many African American tattoo artists, African Americans wanted to be tattoo artists, people viewed them as scratchers because they didn't want to know what they were doing. Instead of showing them how to do it, they just like, oh, that's just another scratcher. So it almost became like if you were black, you were a scratcher in a lot of areas. Yeah, which is fucked up.
So how do you see, like, how do you identify like scratching versus
doing it right, professional?
Yeah.
Me, I have an eye for it. A lot of people don't, but honestly, I'm at a point now I can tell based on I need to see the most simple tattoo you did and I don't need to see the most advanced tattoo you did. I just need to see the most simple one. If you can't keep a line straight, if you can't get in somebody's skin at their perfect layer, if people's tattoos are scabbing out of control, if I don't see you being sanitary with how you use your gloves and what you're touching, the soap you use, if you don't know the difference between a machine, if you don't know the terminology, you're a scratcher. Okay. For me, yeah, you're not a professional tattoo artist.
So it's not about how the tattoo looks.
No, it's not, because you can be a subpar artist and not be a scratcher.
Okay.
A scratcher is pretty much somebody that don't know what they're doing, but they want to do it. And like I said, it was a time where it was like just the black people were, which was kind of messed up.
What changed that? In your opinion?
People, black tattoo artists who were actually good. People like Ma Bailey, Chris Davis, people like that. Me myself, people I met at expos. What's actually crazy is the TV show Black Ink Crew. I used to read their comments and people used to say they're a bunch of scratchers. And I used to think they really want to call them the N-word, you know. But I used to see that.
Okay. Is there a black style of tattooing?
No, but tattooing black skin has changed how people tattoo. Because it's a little bit more difficult, you have to make considerations. I can explain this better if I use an example. If I used a white piece of paper, construction paper, and I drew red on it, it'll look really red. If I put orange on it, it'll look really orange. If I put green, you know, and that's gay. And if I took a brown piece of construction paper and I put orange on it, you'll see the orange, but it's a lot of orange in brown. You'll see the red, but it's a lot of red in brown. Even if I wrote black over it, you'll see the black, but it's a lot of black and brown. So tattooing on black skin has changed tattooing period because you have to use thicker lines, high contrast, less shades to actually make a picture pop versus tattooing somebody with lighter skin or almost white skin. You can use multiple shades and they're going to see every single shade of gray, every single shade of red, every single shade of black, and it's not going to dull out. So yeah, to answer your question, it's a difference.
Okay. Are there particular, I guess, symbols or symbols or things that African Americans
Get?
Yeah.
Nah, man. You see, okay. See, when you said, is there a way to tattoo or is there a style for black artists? It's not. It's just that when you're dealing with African Americans, you're dealing with a people from a certain culture. You have to generalize them almost. So most of us are from a lower class. So most of us don't have the education or the even mentality to even want more out of life. So why would they want more out of a tattoo? So, and this is honest speaking here. When I was tattooing coming up in the streets, most of the tattoos were the same. Prayer hands, some stars, some butterflies. And that's because they wanted a tattoo, but they didn't have the imagination coming up from lower class to actually get anything artistic, if that makes sense. Like they wanted it artistic, but they didn't know what they want. And when I started tattooing in a shop, having to cater to people in the middle or upper class, their minds were even different. They didn't just want anything. For example, somebody in the hood might want to tattoo just a money bag, and they want to put MOB under it, and that stands for money over bitches. You know what I'm saying? And somebody from like with a little bit of money and like really have money might want Benjamin Franklin's actual face on them. You know? And not only do they want it, they want to see your work. They want to see how long you've been doing it. They want to see how much detail can you put in his face. And not only do they want to do that, they want to know how much it's going to cost. Because if it's too cheap, they don't want it. Because they're not going to trust it. Because they feel like you get what you pay for. So it's just difficult to answer that question of like, what do blacks get? Because blacks are very different. Like in this, you can generalize us by culture, but black people are really different. But
so if you can break it down by class, right? So you mentioned
lower class,
prayer hands, butterflies.
Yeah. See, look.
If you really look at it if you can, draw an imaginary line by class, are there things that particular classes of African Americans get? And do you think that, you know, even with that line, do the tattoos
Yeah,
mean
see,
something?
I have to take back my statement now, because even with the class, I've tatted blacks with money. They still want the same thing. I guess it would be about their imagination, what they know about tattooing, what they know about art. I would say experience. More experienced people, black people, because people from the lower class aren't really experiencing a lot of things in life. So I don't want to use that, because it's been people from the lower class that go to be an NFL star and still want lower class tattoos. You know, it's about what they've experienced, because the ones who've experienced a lot want more, and that's the more picky ones, and that's the one that want the more extravagant stuff. So I can't really draw that line and say it's this person. I kind of messed up what I said earlier a little bit. Yeah.
I'm with you. What reasons do you think motivate people to get tattoos at this point?
Two things motivate people to get tattoos: the social life, the acceptance of tattooing, seeing what we covet. You know, Marcus Aurelius said that you know, people want what they covet, and what they see every day. And the other thing is, people, once they get one, your body doesn't look the same. So you want one to complement the other one, or you want one to complement a pair of clothing. And I noticed this with guys as well as girls, Guys that go for a tattoo on their arm first to show off their muscle, you know. But then that tattoo looks lonely, so they got to get it lower. Now this part of your arm looks lonely, so you got to get something down here. Now this arm looks empty, you know. And girls will say, I just want something cute on my shoulder. But then they wear this dress and they're like, man, I wish this tattoo went back here. And eventually it goes down their thigh, you know. So the motivation comes from two things. It's just seeing it, people have it, and actually getting one.
Do you think there's a link between religion and or spirituality and tattooing?
Yeah, man. I don't think I know it is, because I'm in an industry where I can't speak for everyone, but in certain aspects, but I can generalize the fact that most tattooers are atheists. And this is me growing up. Most tattooers are white or Mexican. The Hispanics weren't, but most of the white boys were. But it was mostly white boys that tattooed. And I ran to a lot of atheists, no matter what city I went to. And myself, I'm not a religious person either. So I noticed that over time, people who came and got tattoos didn't treat tattoo shops like nail salons. They didn't treat them like barbershops. They didn't treat them like, you know, the club. They treated it like, I want to, off an impulse, I want to go get this tattoo, and I want to go somewhere where I can be myself. And you have a different conversation with your tattoo artist than you have with your barber. Because you might sit in your tattoo artist chair for 3-4 hours. You know, the barber, you might sit there for 30 minutes. Your nail salon, you might sit there for 10 minutes. So, or hair salon, you might sit there, but you can't talk, you know? Or your hair in a dry or something, you're on your phone. So, the questions get asked to where, because tattoo artists are so different. Remember what I'm saying? Most of them are, you got to think most of us are felons. Most of us can't get jobs because we got tattoos everywhere. Most of us are free thinkers. We have free time. We make our own schedule. So I'm getting to this point because I have to talk this long to get to the point. But the tattoo artists are asked questions that you don't ask the barber. You're asked a question like, "What do you think about this tattoo I'm getting?" And most tattoo artists, like I said, are free thinkers and blind. I don't care what I think it's stupid. You know, you can come in and get a little bitty cross on your hand, and a tattoo artist will tell you, I think this is stupid. Well, why do you think this is stupid? Bam, open up a conversation. So with a lot of people being non-believers as tattoo artists, and then a lot of clients coming in having these conversations with them, they're leaving with, that guy was kind of interesting. I judged this guy to be this, and that, but he was kind of interesting. Now they come back, if they come back at all, some people are offended with the notion that I can talk to this person about anything. I've had people come in and tell me, man, you know what? You told me you weren't religious. I kind of question religion all the time. Let's talk about it. And from there, I've seen it. I've seen people come to me as super duper Christians. And, I talked to them a few times. They talk to their friends. 2-3 years later, they're not religious no more. And tattooing has got so popular, you got to do the math. If most tattooists are atheists and tattooing is getting popular, or tattooers are spiritual, they're just not religious. Basically, I don't want to say atheists, they're just not religious. If that's getting more popular, the client is going to affect the clients. And tattooing is not a pious thing. So with that being said, if it's not a religious thing, why would... Look at our culture now. Look at society. Homosexuality is very acceptable. Transgender is very acceptable. Tattooing is very acceptable. People are free thinking now. People are actually using their own minds, having their own opinions, having their own beliefs. With tattooing being popular and it being normal, it was already normal in the tattoo industry. It's like open season. So there is a connection with that. Like there is a big one or a huge one.
Do you think tattooing brings like a healing to people? And if so, like, can you say a little bit about that?
Like you mean like therapeutic, or is it like, what you mean healing? Like,
yeah, it could be therapeutic. It could be religious, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's people even say I need some ink therapy.
Ink therapy.
That's what they say. They be like, they'll call me especially if they have a lot of tattoos. Man, I know tattoos hurt, but I need some ink therapy. What they really need is somebody to talk to. I promise you. What they really, like a lot of, I hear everybody's problems. What I write books, I've written plays, I've written movies. And I've just bunched up a bunch of people's personal life into my movies or my film or my plays. And people question religion their whole life, all the time. It don't matter what color they are. I know we're talking about African Americans, but it doesn't matter. And the thing is, they've never met people like tattoo artists. They never met their immediate life. They're not surrounded by non-believers. So when they get around one, not only is it interesting, it's therapeutic because it's the moment they've been waiting for. I couldn't get this out to my mom. I couldn't say, I always question this about the Bible. Because, honestly, I know a lot of tattoo artists that actually read the Bible. Actually I read it a few times, but I'm speaking like about, I don't know many religious Christians. I know religious Muslims that read the Quran, obviously. But I don't know many religious Christians that have actually read the Bible. I know a bunch of atheists or a bunch of non-believers that have actually sat down and read the whole Bible. So that's another conversation that pops up. So people just kind of come in and really want to talk about their relationships. Yeah, they get their lovers' names on them, their lovers' zodiac sign. Yeah, so they get these personal things. So if it goes bad, the relationship, they got to come back and talk about it. If it damn, dog. My bad. Sorry about that. Yeah, if it goes bad, if their relationship goes bad, they want to talk about it. And I'm not saying that everybody that comes in and talks about religion changes their views on religion. It just opens a new conversation. It's just about, it opens a form of acceptance through communication. So now what's normal to us, for example, I have gay friends. What's normal to him, his normal life, or her, is not normal to me. But as much as we've communicated about it, it's perfectly normal now. So in a world where that could have led me to be a homophobe, I wasn't because of gay friends. Right. In a world where it could have led them to be thinking because when I first used to meet people, they used to swear I worship Satan just because I'm not religious. I worship Satan. You know,
I'm with you. Either you in or you out.
Yeah. So that's one thing that was annoying, but I've seen it grow. I've seen people grow into. I know people who are still religious after talking to me, and it's acceptable though. Like, all right, that's just how they are, or that's what they call it.
Do you think the ritual itself, the ritual of tattooing, plays any role in like a spiritual sense, maybe as a supplement or replacement for what they grew up?
Yeah, with some people it is. I'm into metaphysics and spirituality, and I'm into learning about, or actually aligning my chakras, being very, very spiritually healthy. And I noticed that it depends. I'm gonna speak for the case of when it does. It depends on who, but some people are getting very meaningful tattoos. They get very meaningful art, and it all boils down to the person who's doing it. But it comes from somebody can say, okay, man, my grandma died, but I don't want my grandma's name. You know, I want a tattoo to represent my grandma died, but I don't just want any tattoo. You know, and this comes from them when they make it to this person, this artist who's going to be there. A lot of times it comes from, let's say a girl got a piercing from with her friend. She stayed outside. Then the next time she came in. Then she heard us talking. You know, then she came by with somebody, referred a few people. But then when she think about it, hey, you know, I'm gonna go to that guy. You know, the souls are spiritually we're aligned by that, but the actual process of the tattoo, they're comfortable. You know, so ritual would be a bad word for it, but the whole idea of tattooing them and being connected on that level, it's like something they wouldn't forget. It would be a ritual.
You're saying like the artist and the person being tattooed.
Yeah, you're connected for life because you're like, whether you cover it up or remove it, you know, you had enough trust in this person. That's why I say I'm speaking for the people who when it is like a ritual type sense, but you're coming to a person who's going to put something on you that you're going to die with. You know, so that's a connection, you know.
That's a lot of pressure though. Like, do you do anything to prepare for that, knowing that this person is going to have a piece of your art?
Nah, I just go with the flow. I mean, we get our talent from, you know, our creator, whatever our creator is, whoever it is. You know, we get our talents, we get our looks, we get everything from the creator. But when you have a talent, you just got to tap into it and run with it. You can't. Stuff like that doesn't cross your mind. It doesn't cross my mind. I never heard anybody, a rapper, singer, say something like that. You just got to do what you were put here to do.
But you're very in tune with how the person is doing and how they're feeling throughout the whole tattooing process.
Yeah, body language. If you're talking about that, body language. But as far as they're feeling emotionally, I've had a few cry because it's somebody that died. And but as far as the pain, you can tell by body language, but some of them will overcome that because the tattoo is so important. But again, we're dealing with millions of different people.
Right. You just can't say one thing.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So I'm generalizing as much as possible.
Yeah. So are there like, you mentioned a couple of times, like, I guess I would call it a memorial tattoo. Are there other types of tattoos that people get for like meaningful reasons? Or what are some of the reasons that people have expressed, you know, for getting tattoos?
Younger people between the ages of 18 and 21, they get tattoos because they love stuff. Like they really love music so much, they'll get musical tattoos. They'll really love animals so much, they'll get an animal tattooed on them. Once they pass that 21 age and then they in their mid-20s, in between there, they start to get tattoos because they look really good. They want something that makes them look better as they age. You know, they want something sexy. They want something that looks good. After 25, maybe into the mid 30s or even the 40s, it seems like everybody's tattoo has to mean something. Like they don't get tattoos for no reason anymore. It's just this tattoo. I'm getting this because, you know, my dog died or something, you know, and or I'm getting this because, you know, this is my two daughters. I want something to represent this. Or I'm getting this because, you know, I went through a lot in life and this dragon means new life or something, you know. A lot of people don't just get anything after that age. But yeah.
Do you think that the tattoo space, like your office, for instance, like represents, I guess, a sacred place for some people?
Absolutely, yeah. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said earlier, people feel more comfortable here than they do at their barber or else. Like they feel people can be themselves. I like one thing I noticed is I used to complain like, man, people don't know how to act when they come in a tattoo shop, but you get the real them. You really don't. You don't get. People act at church, you know. People act at restaurants, you know. People don't act at home though. You know, people act around company, but they don't act at home. They act too much. And you can get a whole family coming here, and they all going. I guess people make themselves at home. So the reason why I say sacred though is like because of this such a comfort. Sacred would sound like a word to be used when you're thinking of something holy or something like that, but I mean sacred in the sense of a personal. How can I say this? Like I'm thinking about my clients right now. That's why I'm looking all over the place. Like a personal way out, getaway, like getaway. Like almost to the point to where I could chill up here all the time, but I need to chill up here when I need to talk to them or when I need to be around some real people. You know, this is a break away from life.
Okay. As an artist, do you see yourself in comparison to a religious leader? Doesn't have to be like a Christian pastor, but maybe a guru or
and
something like that.
You see, there's no respect for artists to me. Da Vinci. People like Da Vinci, Michael. We have famous Renaissance artists over times before them who weren't religious, but they're landmarks. They're known from religious paintings. You know, they're just leave it in the front. Just leave it in the front. They're known for something that they didn't want to do. Even our musicians, they're known for this hit song they came out with in their 20s that they don't even want to be remembered by. Like Dr. Dre, you know, like he's known for NWA. Dr. Dre, he don't even want to remember that stuff. And I don't want to feel like that, like no damn leader in a sense of like some religious thing, because I could be commissioned to paint Jesus for the Vatican, and that's how it would be remembered. You know, so it's harmful to know that. You know, to have to deal with that. Like you have to. I consider myself a slave, but to the world though. But it's my duty to give my talent to the world. But still, you have to. I'm in a position to where I have to. My duty is to draw, to paint, to give away art, but I can only give what you ask. And if you don't ask, it's my personal views, and which are fine. I can paint whatever the hell I want to paint. You know, that's fine. But I'm least likely to be remembered by that, and more than likely to be remembered by what I was commissioned to do, or what I was paid to do, or what people asked me to do, or what people wanted. You feel me? Like I remember some musicians, Kaya. She had that song, "My Neck, My Back." She's not even that type of person, you know. You have rap artists. They are paid the thing about success for especially black artists. You want me to show you how ignorant I can be, and people are going to call it successful? What is that going to do to young black people? How is that going to make them think I got to be ignorant to be successful? You want me to be on Love and Hip Hop? You want me to show you how stupid I can be just to get on TV? That's perception. That's the power of perception. So I'm in a funny ass position to be one called it's hard to call an artist a leader, and that's why I don't get mad at rappers when they say they don't want to be involved in politics and shit like that, because they got this position to uphold. It's not the 60s and 70s no more. Everybody can't be Muhammad Ali. It's a different age. So it's like I don't see myself like that. On a personal note, with my peers, maybe they might listen, they might want to know, but the world would have to accept that for that to be true, because the world doesn't. I'm a slave to the world. It doesn't. It gives me what to do. I don't. It's a give and take, but I'm not. I would be lucky if my art that I wanted to show was more popular than what they wanted.
I'm with you.
And I know hip hop artists feel that a lot.
Yeah. But do you feel like you help your clients?
Yeah.
In some kind of way?
Yeah, I don't bullshit them. I don't just be like, yeah, get it. Get whatever you want. No, I tell them, hey, man, this placement might not be the best option for you. This might not be the good look for you. I could do something better. How much you want to spend? Tell me your budget. Or on a personal note, man, I'm not gonna put people's names out, but I have people that come in homeless, just want to need somebody to talk to, and I have people that come in girls talking about rape stories. They just break down, even dudes. I have dudes talk about getting sexually harassed to me. It gets so personal that people will share that information with you, and you don't get that type of, no matter what nobody say, you don't get that type of connection at a church, because you're dealing with hope, or you're dealing with something you can't see. I'm right in your face with the shit, so you can tell me your skeletons. As much as people want to act like they can't do that shit at church. You thinking on your emotions, and you fall apart at church. Here you can vent, you can get that shit out, and most people idolize themselves also, so they want paintings of themselves. So, that's another way I get my art out, but to show my talent. But as far as message or guru or something like that, I'll pass on that one.
No, I guess that's what I meant though, right?
Yeah.
So, what I was asking you, and you shared a little bit of that, was that people come here and they share their deepest
sentiments,
pains, hurts, worries, and I'm wondering if you feel that, by tattooing them or giving them something, on their bodies that help them overcome, deal with, cope with, whatever the issues.
I see what you're saying. Like it help them get it out their system a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's a sigh of relief. You breathe it out. Yeah, because people don't want to forget it. They just want to get it out. Because they don't want to forget being, like I had a girl that got mothers harassed. She didn't want to forget it, but she wanted to talk about it, And the fact that she know I spoke at high schools, she said, "Man, I want to speak to girls." Well, you should try it. You don't want to, you should start. So she started a YouTube channel and started doing it on YouTube, and eventually she had a tattoo of her logo. So she not gonna forget that shit ever. But it's better when you can get it out and get some positive feedback from it. So in that sense, definitely this is a sacred place. This chair.
Okay. Well, good. What's your religious background? You were saying you're not religious now.
Oh man. I grew up in a Christian household, man. Christian everything. And like I said, I've never seen a Christian person read some scriptures. Read a book. They just read the scriptures. I was that guy that I went to church and I didn't believe that shit. I just act like I did. I just clap my hands, sing along, but I really didn't I don't know, man. I'm just doing it
etiquette.
because everybody doing it. You know, I'm behaving. You know,
Yeah. It's the etiquette.
So I go to jail, man. I fall apart. I'm crying and praying and all this stuff. And a white guy actually taught me how to play chess. He was like, do you know who Constantine is? Because he asked me why I'm praying all the time. I was like, you got to be able to pray so you can get out of jail. You know, he like, you know who Constantine is? I'm like, nah. And he showed me this book, and I used to read a lot. He told me he didn't want to consider me reading the Bible in jail. And I honestly, after I read it, I honestly questioned the hell out of it then, but I didn't want to. I was afraid to say something about it. But I think that's the number one thing that turns people off actually reading. I know it's long. I know it takes forever. I know you're going to skip a couple pages, but just read it. So he said Constantine. I was like, nah, man. He gave me this book on Constantine, man. I didn't want to believe what I was reading. Like, it just totally shut out all my views. It just totally debunked them. It just made it look like what I believe in was bullshit. So I didn't want to believe that. And that was my first battle. So when I got out of jail, I started studying African history. He made me want to study African history, which is crazy because he's a white man. And the more I studied, the less I believed in Jesus. Now this is a big deal because it wasn't the God thing, it was the Jesus thing that was my issue. So obviously I started studying the Quran. And I was studying great African people, man, and I'm wondering why the hell when we learn about this stuff, because if I'm learning about this stuff and it's making me feel this way, and it's making me want to, the most important thing it made me want to do, learning African history, made me want to be successful. So I thought that if other blacks read this stuff, they would want to think the same. So I started talking about what I was reading, and that was dangerous. I had so many black people, you crazy, you tripping, you on that, you can't talk that, you can't do that. And I was reading this Elijah Muhammad book called The Theology of Time, and he's like, Jesus isn't real. He was very blunt about it. He said there was no Jesus. And every scholar, it's like it just wouldn't stop. It's like I pulled a piece of yarn and it just kept unraveling, and it would not stop. And it was just like, shit. One day it was like, damn, I don't believe it anymore. Study the Hindu religion, Buddhism, different gods, Egyptian gods, Krishna, Nigerian gods, all kind of gods, man. And then I got to the point where I don't even believe in the sense of God anymore. Not in a content of a God, like a creator. I believe it. You know, somebody created us. But I guess do not disturb don't work. So I believe like something, you know, had to create. We came from some creation itself must be God. But then I studied it so long, I got down to the context of language. Language itself is, to me, the biggest reason why we believe in God. And I say that because God is just a word. And in English, automatically it's a man, because a goddess is a woman. So it just became mind-blowing that you've been taught a language and you're trapped inside of a trap because you're taught a language that was foreign to you during slavery. And look what the language came with. And here we are in 2016, property, like shadow, like real shadow, you know? And it's not even a oppressor, it's a system. It's not even like, I don't call it white supremacy because, like, it's not like that. Like, it's white people. All white people are not racist. It's just white people are property also, you know? We're just people, and then there's power. And a lot of its doing was God. It was their force of God, you know? And that's crazy as hell to me. You introduced me to a language that changed the course of history. It shifted power, you know? It's just crazy as hell. So, yeah, my religious background is a lot of studying. And now I'm a non-believer.
Okay. Well, I really don't have any more questions. I think you answered everything good. I mean, if you have something that you just want to say, you know, at this point, or something that you're thinking about?
Yeah, see this painting here. I did this painting. You can I'll send you a picture of it also to your email if you want it. But
Wow.
after the guy Alton Sterling got shot, and I see a lot of people get the wrong idea about my painting. You know, I'm not one of those people that say Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. It doesn't matter. You know, like somebody didn't go home to their family that night. You know, some cops don't. Some people don't. You know, you shouldn't be resisting arrest. You shouldn't be killing people. But this is like what I mean by when you paint what you want to paint. You know, you're not really gonna be. Nobody's gonna commission that. You know, no museum is gonna commission. Like they're gonna turn that away.
No, I'm with you.
You know, they barely even put that on TV. And like, if it does, it'll probably be you probably will be get a lot of negative feedback from that. But yeah, the words on there say, "Oh, Daddy needed, supposed to be, hopefully, beg Jesus for help. Hate is approaching me. I don't care how unfair that the system is. All I feel is the joy. You can forget your kids." And it's just disrespectful because that's how the shooting was. You know, it was just like, just different. It was just fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't have much to say, but just wanted you to check out that painting.
That's a powerful painting, man. Like, for real. For real.
Thank you.